The U.S. government shut down an investigation related to the mosque of Orlando shooter Omar Mateen. Welcome to SkyWatch TV for Tuesday, June 21st, 2016. I'm Derek Gilbert. The Department of Homeland Security was looking into an Islamic network that originated in India called Tablighi Jamaat. The Homeland Security investigation was quashed by the State Department. Apparently, the administration felt that it unfairly singled out Muslims. But the question, I think, for us Americans is, what is Tablighi Jamaat and why should we be concerned about it? So we turn to a scholar of Islamic history and eschatology. He's the author of two books that we highly recommend, 10 Years Captivation with the Mahdi's Camps and Sects, Lies, and the Caliphate, Dr. Timothy Furnish. Tim, welcome.
Hi, Derek.
You wrote a piece for an online encyclopedia related to the Islamic world about Tablighi Jamaat. What is this group?
It is probably the world's largest sort of Islamic evangelism group. It comes out of the subcontinent, comes out of India. It was started actually in the early 20th century, I guess you could say, by a fellow that was born in the 19th century under British rule, a Muslim cleric and thinker called Muhammad Ilyas. And it's somewhat similar. Some folks, whether you're Catholic or not, may be aware of the group in the Catholic Church called Opus Dei, which is an organization that's led by lay people, and it's really aimed at sort of getting Catholics to be better Christians, better Catholic Christians, and also, sort of incidentally converting people. But it's primarily aimed at, it's sort of an in-house organization. Tablighi Jamaat is very similar to that. It has tens of millions of followers. Some people say as many as 80 million. And it basically is a group that initially started out, again, in really around sort of World War II and shortly thereafter, or a little bit before actually when the British still ruled India. The idea was that Muslims are being converted in India, and remember, people may not know that about 10-12% of the population in India is Muslim. And this, of course, also was before Pakistan had split off, so it was an even larger percentage, Pakistan and Bangladesh, I should say. So there was a concern among some in the Muslim community that Muslims were being converted to Christianity and or Hinduism, and that they were sort of being led astray by Western secular ideas brought in by the British. So this group started out, and again, the idea first was they just worked within India, what is now India, Pakistan, Bangladesh to a certain extent, trying to get Muslims to go to mosque more often, to practice the 5 pillars, and to be basically, as they saw, better Muslims. And then the group has expanded since then, particularly after the 1960s. It's become sort of an international, transnational Islamic missionary group, or as they say, dawah, basically. As opposed to jihad, violent, means to expand Islam. It's dawah, which is peaceful. It is a peaceful group, but it's very problematic in that it's very, very conservative. I don't know if I'd quite say fundamentalist. I'm never quite sure how to define fundamentalist over against conservative. But it teaches, for instance, strict emulation of Muhammad, the founder of Islam, in everything. I mean, from brushing your teeth to how you perform the ritual ablutions before prayer to how you live your life. And you're supposed to exactly follow the hadiths, the Islamic sayings. Not this sort of thing is not so much in the Quran, but in the hadiths, the alleged sayings of Muhammad, and some of the other traditions. So what happens, though, when you start teaching that to people? And people learn, well, Muhammad also led armies in battle. Muhammad also ordered opponents beheaded. Muhammad sometimes ordered opponents tortured. Muhammad had 11 wives, one of whom was 6 years old. So if you're going to take that on to its logical extreme, some people are going to say, well, if I'm going to imitate the Prophet of Islam, I'm going to imitate him in everything, to include things like jihad. So that's what the group is. It sort of stays under the radar screen of a lot of governments, Muslim governments even, although a few have outlawed it. For the most part, it stays under the radar screen because it's apolitical. Unlike the Muslim Brotherhood or Hizb ut-Tahrir, which wants to bring back caliphate, or name some of the other groups, the Gulen movement, for instance. In fact, it's somewhat more similar actually to the Gulen movement, which we may get too much info here, but the Gulen movement is a Turkish movement led by an exiled Turkish leader who lives in Pennsylvania called Fethullah Gulen, who runs the largest, next to the Catholic Church, runs the largest parochial school system in the world. And it teaches sort of what many people, me included, believe to be sort of a moderate brand of Islam that eschews jihad, but is also, though, problematic because, again, people will come into it, as with Tablighi Jamaat, and then some people wind up going out the other side into terrorist groups. Some of the folks involved in the late 90s, remember the bombings at the U.S. embassies in East Africa?
Right.
those folks had come out of Tablighi Jama'at in Tanzania and wound up in Al-Qaeda. And what you referenced at the beginning was, I believe, it's Philip Haney, the former DHS official who was on with Hannity and some others, and said that he was the guy that said he had been tasked with keeping tabs on certain folks on the watch list that were Muslim, but then he was ordered, the records were ordered scrubbed. And some of these folks, like Sayed Farouk and out in the San Bernardino shooter and some other people, were affiliated with mosques involved with Tablighi Jama'at. And then the question is, and then there's some question whether Omar Mateen was also involved with this group. So it was described in one article a few years ago by a researcher as a conveyor belt or a transmission belt sort of terrorism. And I'm not sure that that's totally accurate, but the thing about Tablighi Jama'at is very interesting is it points up this sort of false dichotomy between Islam in general and terrorism. Now, when I say that, I'm not saying that all Muslims are terrorists, because again, most of them aren't. But what is the line where it stops from, again, like I said, you want to imitate the founder of your religion in things like, again, ritual prayer and so-called piety, but yet you find out that the founder of your religion practiced violence against non-Muslims and led armies in battle and conquered and beheaded and things like that. If you are dedicated, as groups like, again, Tablighi Jamaat want you to be, if you're dedicated to following him in every aspect of his life, where do you draw the line? Where do you say, well, this far and no further? So this is where, when the president says, and what's in the news today is about Trump had called for profiling Muslims. Do you profile people in groups like Tablighi Jama'at? Do you only profile people in groups like Al-Qaeda and ISIS and Boko Haram and such? It becomes very thorny, but really, the important thing here is that you can't figure out a strategy and a policy for doing this unless you know the group and the theology and how they relate. In this administration, it's see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. We're not going to talk about Islamic theology. So, well, then you're not going to understand this.
Attorney General Lynch over the weekend told Chuck Todd of NBC that on Monday the FBI would release edited transcripts, partial transcripts of the 911 calls made by Omar Mateen in which he pledged allegiance to the Islamic State. Her reasoning was that by releasing the full transcript, including his declaration of allegiance to ISIS, that we would be furthering his propaganda. What's your opinion of that? What is served by scrubbing the official record of references by people like Mateen to the Islamic State?
Well, I think they're clearly putting it's all about guns and the NRA agenda ahead of reality. Because this has, look, first of all, it's silly because most Americans by now that have had a TV on in the last 2 weeks know that the man was shooting people, yelling Allahu Akbar, and that he called 9/11 and said, I'm doing this for ISIS. So, first of all, it's silly because most people already know this. So, secondly, if you go with the idea that some advance, that the president understands the threat, but he's given orders in his administration that we not alienate, Muslims either domestically or in foreign affairs. All you got to do is look at what's going on. How is that policy working? The CIA director just testified last week and undermined everything the president's been saying for 2 years. Okay, ISIS is on the move. It has dozens of affiliates across the Middle East and South Asia. It may have lost a little bit of territory in Syria, but it's doing fine otherwise. It's in Libya, it's across North Africa, it's in a number of Middle Eastern countries. And besides ISIS, remember, there are about 50 groups on the State Department terrorist list, and 70-some% of them, by my last count, are Muslim. So it's not just ISIS. And then, as we were just talking about, you have to worry about all these organizations that don't necessarily make IEDs or shoot people, but lead people in the direction of doing that, like Tablighi Jama'at, like a lot of the Salafi groups, like Hizb ut-Tahrir, who believes, again, that the Muslim world will be a suffering victim until the caliphate is brought back. Well, ISIS has the caliphate right there. Hizb ut-Tahrir may not agree with them, but their end goal is the same, a caliphate of some kind. So for the president and the attorney general to do that sort of thing, first of all, I think it's useless. And secondly, it insults the intelligence, even of the people in the Democratic Party.
In the piece that you wrote about Tablighi Jamaat for that the online encyclopedia, you made, I think, an observation that you alluded to in your early comments here about the group beginning in India, where the Muslim community is roughly 10 to 15% of the total population. How much of their approach to proselytizing in the name of Islam is dictated by the fact they are a small minority in their home country?
Well, again, that's initially what was driving it. The idea was that the Islamic community in India is sort of under attack, and they need to stop sort of defections from Islam. I mean, in that regard, you could look at it historically, sort of like the Jesuits, the Society of Jesus. Why were the Jesuits founded? I mean, now we think they were founded to advance liberal Catholicism, but remember, they were founded by an ex-soldier named Ignatius Loyola, who was concerned about what? The Reformation, and all these people leaving the Catholic Church to join the Lutherans and the Calvinists and so on and so forth. So it was sort of like that originally, but it has expanded way beyond that, because now, again, as I pointed out, something like 2/3 of the countries in Africa see Tablighi Jama'at at work there. And it's starting to worry. It worries even some Muslim countries. But it's interesting why it worries some Muslim countries and Muslim organizations. One of the main concerns of groups like the Saudis, for instance, the Saudis have banned Tablighi Jama'at because they think it's too sort of squishy. They don't think it's hardline enough, because there are elements in Tablighi Jama'at of accepting Sufism, Islamic mysticism. So countries like Saudi Arabia think, well, you're sort of heretical Islam in Tablighi Jama'at. But again, it now has become really sort of a global organization aimed at converting people to Islam.
And looking back again at the Department of Homeland Security and the State Department's list of officially recognized terrorist groups around the country, or groups that have been designated terrorist groups, rather, the common thread there amongst the majority is not that they're Muslim, but that they really, really like guns, huh?
Right. And they're probably secretly funded by the GOP. But I mean, look, it's just silly. I mean, look, again, I've gone through the list with a fine-tooth comb. It's in the latest, again, State Department 400-page terrorism list, which I'm pouring through. And I've taken out, you look at the list, I've taken out groups that are majority Muslim, but whose ideology is not Islamic. For instance, like the PKK in Turkey. Okay, the PKK is mostly Muslim Kurds, but it's not after an Islamic State. It's a Marxist organization that wants to separate. It's a nationalist separatist group in Turkey. And same things with some other groups. Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine. It's not an Islamic group. So I've weeded those groups out, and even if you weed those out, it's still 70-some%. And there are other groups that aren't on the list that the State Department could put on there, but they haven't. They could easily put them on there. I mean, a couple of years ago, the Emirates, United Arab Emirates government, put out a list of, which I talk about in my book, Sex, Lives, and the Caliphate, a list of terrorist groups that they think are problematic, and 82 of the 83 groups on that list were Muslim. And they included, and this was the Emirates. So I've often wondered, are the United Arab Emirates government, is it racist somehow?
It's Islamophobe.
It's Islamophobic. That's just kind of silly. And again, if we bring that topic up and just correct some misperceptions there, Islam is not a race. So if one were to profile Muslims, one would not be profiling a race, one would be profiling a religion, an ideological construct, a belief system. And I've never found that, I don't know anywhere in the Constitution where it says you can't profile a belief system.
This administration is just playing out the string. But come November, we will elect a new president, either Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton, presumably. What will the next administration have to do to get a handle on the problem posed by radical and violent Islamic groups?
Well, be honest, the first thing you have to do is, Derek, is not call it radical Islam, because, and I know that everybody does it, it's easy to fall into that, because I think we equate radical with violent. And it would make much more sense just to say violent Islam, or even jihadism or something like that. But then again, we can't do that, remember, because the former Attorney General and the still current CIA director said that jihad is a legitimate tenet of Islam and has nothing to do with violence, which means that they never actually opened the books when they went to a college history class. What the next administration will have to do is be honest about it and say, look, there is a problem in the world's second largest religion. And the way I look at it is, and again, I guess it's easy for me to say, I'm not the president, but if I go to the doctor, I don't want the doctor to tell me, if I have the flu, I don't want the doctor to tell me that, I just have a headache and take 2 aspirin. I want him to give me Tamiflu or tell me honestly or God forbid it's something worse. If there's something wrong, I take my truck to the Nissan dealer. I want him to tell me what's wrong with it. I don't want him to tell me everything's fine. You just got one extremist tire. Your other tires are okay. When the rubber's coming off of 3 of them or something. So, and perhaps those are imperfect analogies, but the point is, we are not doing our diplomatic friends in the Muslim world or the world's millions, 1.5 billion Muslims any favors by pretending that they don't have a problem, because they do have a problem. And ultimately, they're going to have to address it. It's not the Donald Trumps and the Dick Cheneys and the George Bushes of the world that cause those huge, large majorities, when you look at Pew data in the Muslim world, that say they support stoning, or they support killing people for apostasy, or they support killing homosexuals. Okay, huge majorities in Muslim countries. Okay, it's not extremist to have these beliefs in Islam; it's mainstream. And until we get an administration that's willing to, diplomatically but firmly challenge the Muslim world to deal with its own problematic nature, that's going to continue. I mean, al-Sisi is doing it in Egypt. We have Muslim leaders that are doing it. It's interesting that a Muslim leader of the largest Arab country, President al-Sisi of Egypt, has challenged the clerics at Al-Azhar in Cairo to say we need to do something because there's way too many terrorists in our midst. But the President of the United States won't dare to say something like that.
And for context, Al-Azhar University in Cairo is the largest and most influential Islamic university.
Sunni institution,
yes. Dr. Timothy Furnish is the author of 10 Years Captivation with the Mahdi's Camps and Sects, Lies, and the Caliphate, both books that we highly recommend here at SkyWatch TV. Tim, thanks very much again for your time.
Thank you, Derek.
And Dr. Furnish's website is mahdiwatch.org. That's mahdiwatch.org. A couple of in-house notes as we wrap up today. The special offer that we had been promoting for weeks and weeks on the new book by Tom Horn and Chris Putnam, The Final Roman Emperor, the Islamic Antichrist, and the Vatican's Last Crusade, has ended, but you can still order the book and get the 5 interviews recorded for SkyWatch TV related to the book and to Steve Quayle's new DVD, True Legends, The Unholy Sea, and a DVD data disc, including much of the background research that Tom and Chris incorporated into the book, The Final Roman Emperor, the Islamic Antichrist, and the Vatican's Last Crusade. You'll find that listed at the SkyWatch TV store, skywatchtvstore.com. And again, we just ask your patience as we continue working to fill the orders that have come in for the book. The response has been almost overwhelming. And as I mentioned last week, we had to detail some of the warehouse crew for a few days to help bale hay for the ponies at Whispering Ponies Ranch while the weather was conducive. So they're working really hard to catch up, and we, again, appreciate your patience as you bear with us as we work to get all of those books and orders out. Also need to make you aware that this is the final week for the special offer, the special introductory offer for the new SkyWatch TV magazine. 5 years for the price of 3, plus the new book, I Predict What 12 Global Experts Believe You Will See by 2025. That includes chapters by best-selling authors like Joel Richardson, Carl Gallups, Tom Horn, Mark Biltz, Troy Anderson, Paul McGuire, and more. That book alone, a $20 value. That plus 5 years of SkyWatch TV magazine, basically for the price of 3 years. But that offer ends this Friday, June 24th. You'll find more information on how to order at the end of this program. And you still have time to submit your story for the special opportunity to be published by Defender Publishing. This is the No Fences writing contest inspired by Nita Horn's biography, No Fences, which is, of course, the story that inspired and led to Whispering Ponies Ranch. The deadline to enter is next Thursday, June 30th. Details, complete rules, available online at skywatchtv.com/nofences. This week on SkyWatch TV, Gary Stearman and Bob Ulrich, our friends from Prophecy Watchers, join us and give you a sneak preview of what you'll see at the Rocky Mountain International Prophecy Conference next month from Colorado Springs. Now, if you won't be there, you can bring the conference to you and watch the conference, essentially, in the comfort of your own home. 40 presentations available via live video stream, and again, a preview of what you can see on the live video stream on SkyWatch TV this week. You'll see it tonight, 4 different locations. That is including Coast to Coast on the Christian Television Network. Wednesday, the Cornerstone Network at 2:30 p.m., And then Saturday, the Victory Television Network and WCLF TV in the Tampa, St. Petersburg area. Again, you'll see a complete list of times and dates to watch SkyWatch TV posted at skywatchtv.com. Look for the link in the top menu bar that says Channels. We appreciate your support at SkyWatch TV. It's what helps us do what we do. And during the month of June, in honor of Father's Day, 2 books for Dad are our gift to you for your gift of any amount. While supplies last, The Fisherman's Guide to Life and The Man in the Mirror, Solving the Problems Men Face. We will send those to you for your donation of any amount in the U.S. and Canada. And to donate, log on to skywatchtv.com/donate. And of course, you can help us just with your mouse finger. Click like, click share, click subscribe, and spread the word around. And if you've got comments or questions for us, send them to me at dgilbert@skywatchtv.com. Thank you for watching as we keep watch. I'm Derek Gilbert, and this is SkyWatch TV. Save nearly half off the cover price when you subscribe now to the brand new SkyWatch TV magazine. For a limited time from April 24th through June 24th, 60 days only, a 5-year subscription to SkyWatch TV magazine is just $99. That's more than $75 off the cover price, which is like getting 2 years for free. Exclusive content, articles on prophecy, discovery, and the supernatural from Tom Horn, Chris Putnam, Josh Peck, science updates from Sharon K. Gilbert, geopolitics from yours truly, and guest writers like Pulitzer Prize-nominated journalist Troy Anderson, renowned Bible scholar Dr. Michael Heiser, Pentagon advisor Lieutenant Colonel Bob McGinnis, and more. But there is more. As an early subscriber, you'll be the first to get this new book from Defender Publishing. I predict what 12 global experts believe you'll see by 2025. This is a $20 value and includes best-selling authors like Joel Richardson, Mark Biltz, Carl Gallups, Tom Horn, Paul McGuire, and more. Find out what they think about the coming war between ISIS and the Vatican, the future of the Temple Mount and the Ark of the Covenant, a worldwide manifestation of angels, and the coming age of human hybrids. And we'll also add this DVD, The Best of SkyWatch TV 2015, a $25 value, including our most compelling interviews from last year, including Chuck Missler, Steve Quayle, the discussion of the Georgia Guidestones with Chris Pinto, and more. All of this together worth more than $200, yours now for just $99, but only through June 24th. Subscribe now, SkyWatch TV magazine. Just call the number on your screen or log on to skywatchtvstore.com.